Hey friends, it's been a little while and I think it's time to make another gnome. I've got a couple of the gnomes of the past to show. So I've got the Grinch gnome. I don't know if I ever showed him on one of my videos of gnomes before. It was Make a Gnome Part 1 and then was Make Another Gnome. But here's the Grinch gnome. You know, he's got his little heart, 2 sizes too small. And he's got his green hair and his Santa hat. And he's pretty cute and probably not just a Christmas decoration. Probably something that you could put out all the time. And, you know, they're just nice little size, little cute little tabletop thing that you could put out with your decorations or, you know, on your little end table somewhere. And just fun. And then got the Nautical Gnome. Just a beachy guy. He's got a mix of different color grays in his beard, and he's got little buttons and things like that I wanted to use, so I just incorporated one of those on there. I thought this kind of looked like, I don't know, sea glass, or reminded me of sand or something because of the colors and the texture of it, so I put that little ribbon, little trim from the dollar store on there, and I always like to stick a little pom-pom or something on the top of their hat, something that's round up there. So he's kind of cute, and he's got the little ocean blue color here and this sand color on his hat. I try to do my colors coordinated well. A lot of people here in Florida have beach themed houses. I guess people who didn't grow up here, they like to stick with the beach theme. So this is kind of a fun thing for people that live down here. And then there is the nature gnome, which is probably one of my favorites. I used one of those it was an old cinnamon broom, you know, the things they sell at Christmas time, and they're the little air fresheners. So if you get close, you could probably still smell the cinnamon just slightly on his beard, but I just chopped it up because once it kind of loses its scent and it's not putting that nice cinnamon smell in the air anymore, then they're kind of just no good for anything. So I just chopped it up and used it as his beard. So he's got a very prickly, very rough, very natural looking beard because he's a nature gnome, and I put some kind of little aquatic plant there. A little flower, so sometimes I mix it up, put a little pom-pom on these guys on the top of their hats, but put a little flower on his, and I try to do something different, like I give the hat a wrinkle, or I give it a little bend at the top, so that way they're kind of glued that way and they stay put. But just something a little fun, you know. This guy's a all year round gnome too. He's not for any particular season, but this time I'm going to make a seasonal gnome. So this one's going to be my Scarecrow Gnome, and so I got out all these fall colors, so I'm going to be using these colors on his body, on his hat. I think this is going to be the body. I think this is going to be for the hat. Haven't decided. I've got some ribbon I'm going to incorporate somewhere in there. This is just dollar store ribbon that I got last year. Whenever I see some kind of neutral but fun for the seasons like Halloween or fall ribbons at the dollar store, I always buy them up, especially if I can get several of the same kind, because you don't always get that much on the roll. So if you want to make a lot of bows or something kind of big with the project, you want to make sure you have a lot of it. So I usually buy them up. I buy 5 or 6 rolls of the same kind. I found these really cool glitter ones one Christmas and Halloween, so I bought those up. And they're good for other crafts, you know, because this one's it's not like it has pumpkins on it. It's just the fall colors, but you could use this on a lot of different crafts, you know, summer stuff. So I like these kind. And then I just have, I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but to incorporate a little doodads on him, I've got these little, you know, the little silk leaves, the fall leaves. I kind of like the ones that have the vines still stuck on the back. You know, you can peel these guys off if you don't want them, if you just want it to be soft and flat like this one. And they'll still have their shape on there, and they'll still have that little indentation where those little things were stuck on the back, the little veins on the leaves. I think I called them vines earlier. They're veins. But you know, I don't know, they kind of they give it a little more shape when those things are still stuck on the back. So I kind of like those, but I don't know which color yet because it depends on what color the hat's going to be. And I just thought this sunflower was cool. I kind of wish I could just shrink it down to like a third its size because it's a little too big. But I wish I could incorporate it somewhere. I think a sunflower would be really cool. It's just going to be too big. But something like that would be nice and bright. And sunflowers tend to be kind of fall-y. So I've also got a couple different noses. I haven't decided yet what kind of nose I'm going to use. But I've got 2 wooden beads for that. Different sizes and different shapes. One's an oval. One is circular. And the base of my gnome right here, which I'll use in just a bit. I've got a glue gun hot and at the ready. Right over here, extra glue stick because I don't want to be getting up and walking across the room to get more glue sticks when I run out. And I've got a bag of raffia. I got green, probably won't use the green. The green is kind of like little pieces of wood. I'm not really sure. It's like weird crunchy Easter grass, but I'm going to be using the tan stuff, the raffia. So, you know, a scarecrow, I need him to have hay. So you could also use probably like if you have one of those old, one of those hay bales that people used to, you know, you'd stick in your yard and maybe put some pumpkins on them. If you have one of those that's kind of beat up or broken down or maybe it's falling apart, you could probably pull pieces of this hay stuff out of it and use that instead of having to go buy a pack of raffia. I don't like that when it comes in the package it's got this bend in there because that's how it's wrapped up around the piece of cardboard or whatever it comes in, or sometimes they just come just kind of looped up and then it's got this permanent bend in there, so I don't like that. But we'll be using some of this on his beard and maybe even get creative and stick some hay coming out of other places on our gnome. So let us get to work on that. I think if I just scoot this to the bottom, wrap it around, it looks like it makes it all the way around, so you want to use good scissors whenever you're working with felt. I guess I'll just cut it right there. It's okay if it overlaps a little bit. You don't really want it to be too short. And then kind of cutting it. I'm not measuring, you could, but I'm not going to measure. I'm just going to hold it up and make sure that I cut it to go all the way around. I think that's what I'm going to do for the body, and then I won't use brown for the rest of it. I'll use the yellow. So now when the glue gun comes in, you're just going to stick a little glue right here. Yeah, just enough. Hold it down. And then a little bit right here where we're going to seal it on. All right, that's done. We'll set that aside and come back to it later. Now the raffia. I'll try to get this out of here without making a big mess. But let's see here. Here's some of my straighter pieces. And I don't need a whole lot for the beard because the beard isn't going to, it's only going to be as long as this tube. So, no, just a few inches. So I will not use my good scissors. I'll save those for cutting felt. I will just cut in the middle here. And kind of get some good pieces that don't have that little curl at the end. There we go. I might even get rid of those pieces that have a little bend just because, I don't know. I'm not sure what else I would do with them. And that's also why I keep all this stuff in a big bag, because if I need to, I just throw it back in the bag, and I can always just chop it up and use it as fluff or something if I need. Okay, so I'm going to be working with these little small pieces that are about the size of the tube, and I'll just work by, I like to put them over the crease. That way, when you spin the gnomes around, you don't see that. You know, because that piece where the ends of the felt came together, that is hiding underneath the beard, which is kind of glued on top of it. So it just kind of covers it up. That way we don't see any of that. So I will work from right here, putting some glue right at the top here, and then sticking. The annoying thing about these is, unlike the yarn, you can't really tie it all together very easily. So you kind of have to stick each piece of raffia down individually and layer it, you know. But that's okay. This part's kind of fun and relaxing, so just enjoy it and don't get frustrated with it. Now just layering it right on top of that, so don't do all of your glue at once or it'll probably start to harden before you get to it, but you could do little sections. Okay, now I need to kind of see that it doesn't, well, you can't really tell, but it doesn't really sit flat. It kind of leans back a little bit because if you can see, the beard is sticking out further than the bottom of the tube. So we just sort of need to go in there and trim these up, get ready for them to fly, and you will have a big mess to clean up afterwards of little pieces of raffia. You can chop it uneven if you like, just little scruffy ends. Here, go a little, kind of curve it a little bit around the edge there, maybe rounded. That's nice. Okay. Do it in layers if you like. This part's kind of fun, giving him a haircut. There we go. So now he just has, you know, his little ends trimmed up so he can sit flat. Gotta clean all this stuff, push it aside so I have a nice little workspace. And then we decide on what kind of a nose we're going to give him. We still haven't figured that out. I either like the dark one or the nice big round one. No, I like the contrast. I'm going to go with this one. So we just put a blob of glue right there. Top of this is going to get covered up. And stick your nose on there. Okay, now we need to work on the hat. Now the way I do the hat is kind of like this. Cut myself a little square of this with my good scissors. Okay, you want to kind of roll it up. So you sort of roll it that way till I make a cone shape. Manipulate it a little bit with your hands if you need to. And then you're going to seal it, okay? So you're going to kind of seal it right wherever it forms that nice cone shape that you like. Okay, we'll go this way. All right, so right on the end there, kind of along this flat edge of it. Okay, this is the part where if you're not careful, you will burn yourself. So you just kind of want to roll it gently, let it fall into the glue. Okay, and then just hold it without pressing all the way into it. Just kind of gently put some pressure on it without touching down on the part where it's getting very hot, because it will seep right through the felt and it will make contact with your skin, which is not a fun feeling. All right, there, and I just realized what I'm going to do on the top. I'm not going to do a pom-pom or a leaf or anything on the tip of the hat. I've gathered up some of these little straight pieces of raffia, and I'm going to fold them in half here, and then put a little bit of glue. Well, I kind of hold on to that. Put a little bit of glue right here at the top of the hat. Yep, that little hole that we've got there. I'm going to slip the raffia, maybe do like a twist to get it in there. Inside there, and this will just look like, you know, the straw, the hay is coming out of our Scarecrow's hat. Very cool. I'm gonna push it down in there. Yeah, and it'll just kind of stick out the top. So this guy won't have a pom-pom or any sort of little doodad at the top. He'll just have his straw sticking out there. And if we don't know if we have enough glue, you can always kind of come in there later when it's cool and just kind of push a little bit of glue right in the center there to hold all those pieces in. Now I got the bottom, which I have to cut this little tail thing off. Okay, that's a scrappy piece I probably won't keep. All right, now I've got this little cone piece, and I do this number where I just kind of go around, and every inch or so I just cut a little slit. And this is gonna, oh, that's already cut right there. This is going to just let it kind of, when I glue it, it'll let it lay the way I want it to, like that. And it has kind of like little legs, if you will, to glue onto the base part of the hat. So the square thing, remember that piece that we cut off earlier? We just kind of cut it in half. We're gonna kind of go around and make it round. But remember, this is a scarecrow, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Maybe it's not a perfectly round circle. Maybe it's a little choppy. So this is where it doesn't really matter if you have good circle cutting abilities, because we're just gonna cut a little rough shape that looks like a circle. More scrappy pieces that I probably won't use, but save them if you can do something with them. Okay, now we're gonna flip this guy over, and on these little phalanges that stick out, we're just gonna put a little bit of glue all along there. Make sure they're kind of flattened out before you go to do this, because you don't want to have to do this now and fix them up while they're hot. So all right, so now what? Now we got our hat together, we got our straw on the top, and our little nose is glued on there pretty good. I just had to let it sit like this so it can dry without sliding off. Now we have to glue our hat down kind of like this, and I might come around and trim it later or glue it upward so we can see his nose under there. So here's how I do it. I just take my glue, I just go around, I avoid the nose area because I don't want glue on the nose. I just kind of go around the edge, put a little bit on the beard, okay? And then I lay the hat. Make sure you've got the front right. Make sure you know where the front is. I'm just kind of cupping it in my hand so that I'm kind of grabbing onto where the glue is and holding it still until it sets, okay? And that's when, once it's set, then you can lift it up and give your little brim a trim. Okay, looking good, looking good. Got to trim them up a little bit around the nose because I don't want that to get hidden under there, so yeah, just cut that away. Okay, now I always put a little something around here, the little brim of the hat, so you know, the little hat band or something on there. So ribbon is nice, but I have another plan for that ribbon. So what I'm gonna do is just cut a little bit of this twine stuff and then tie it around, maybe with a little tiny bit of glue right here. Just do a little knot, nothing too fancy. All right, now what am I doing with the ribbon if it's not going to be a hat band? I'll show you. So I'm going to cut this into little squares, and these little squares are going to be patches on his hat, because you know how scarecrows are supposed to be made out of old clothes, and so the old clothes, I guess, would have patches on them. So I get to use the fall colored ribbon with a little checkered look, and I don't go overboard with it. I'll just put a few little patches on the hat here and there. So wherever I want to showcase that. Let's put one, oh, all right here will be good. This ribbon's pretty flat too, so I don't think I have to worry too much about getting the glue underneath all of it. Look how cool that looks. Yeah, a little patch, just a little something, like there was a hole there, so it had to be patched up, and then we'll put one right here, maybe all around where you can see at least some corners sticking through. It's okay if it frays a little bit. That's just what's going to happen, but it's okay. It's supposed to look like, you know, an old piece of fabric. You'll put one right there, just a tiny bit of glue. You could even use Elmer's glue for this part if you want to. Now, I pulled out these leaves, and I know I've been thinking about them, but they are kind of big, so I'll get my hot glue strings off there. Look at, he's already looking really cool, but he's got one more thing that he needs, and that's the thing. That's the little signature piece that always just seals the deal for these gnomes, and that's on the Grinch. It says a little heart, and on and there's just a little wood heart, by the way. I just painted it and glittered it. And then on the Nautical Gnome, it's his little steering wheel from the boat, and on the Nature Gnome, it's his little plant that just sticks out of his hat. So I always put a little something, a little doodad, a little, you know, trinket on their hats. So I thought about a leaf, and I do like the idea of a leaf. It's just so big. I don't know. I may still try to use part of it. Maybe I can just cut the top of a leaf and just use a part of it. I like this green color a lot, so I might just do that. Let me kind of get that ready in case that's what I end up doing, because I do like part of this. But I wondered if I can't use some pipe cleaners and maybe some pom-poms to fasten a little crow. And a little crow could just sit right here. It doesn't have to be too detailed. It just has to kind of look like a bird shape, you know, with a puffy chest and a little pointy beak, a round head, and maybe a little tail. So I don't have to get crazy with it, but maybe a little crow to sit on their hats. The whole point of a scarecrow is they're supposed to scare the crows away, but in all the artwork you see of scarecrows and all the decorations, you see they're surrounded by crows, and the crows are on them, or just like, you know, sitting there chilling with them. So I think that's kind of funny, because that kind of defeats the purpose. But we could put a little crow here, and I think the black color would just contrast really well with the rest of him, which is all kind of a light, you know, orange and yellowy tones. And so I think that would be nice to stick a little bird there on the corner of it. All right, so I'm going to just start by bending. I guess I'll bend it to the length that I might want his tail feathers to come to. Okay, actually, yeah, let's kind of wrap it, create his little body. I just kind of reinforced it a little bit. Okay, that's good. He's a small little bird. You don't need anything too much, just a little something. That's one pipe cleaner. Okay, that could be, yeah, that could be his tails right there, his little tail feathers. There, he's got a couple. That's good. And then his body, and then I could stick a little head on there, maybe. A little too big for a head. And maybe I'll use another pipe cleaner. You never want to cut these pipe cleaners with your scissors. That's what turns good scissors into bad scissors. And if you ever look down the line, if you see that your scissors have a little kind of a nick in there, you see where it's uneven, where this one, I don't know if you can tell that easily. But that's from, you know, cutting things that you're not supposed to cut with your scissors, like wire, like pipe cleaners. Or you also don't want to ever cut through anything sticky or gooey or gluey or painted, because if you can kind of see on these blades, they've got some gooey stuff on them, probably just from cutting through maybe like felt with the label. If you ever cut through some felt that's got the sticker on there, even just that little bit of sticky or anything that has some hot glue on it, that'll mess up your scissors right there. And so these are no good for cutting felts. They're good for cutting paper. They're good for cutting some string. Maybe, you know, I have to do a few chops to get through it. But you kind of want to have some good scissors that don't ever get used to do anything like that. So if you need to cut pipe cleaners, which sometimes you do, which I'll just cut this one in half, just use the proper tool. Use some wire cutters, something that's meant for that. Because, you know, even if you're using your old cruddy scissors, they're going to get worse and eventually not be able to work for that if you're continue cutting. I have a black feather boa, which I have no use for, but you know, sometimes I buy stuff like this just because. And I can cut little pieces of feathers off of this and maybe use it for little wings, or maybe, I don't know, like a little something on his head. Maybe give him like some little funky feather. That's a good one for a wing. I'm just going to cut a piece of it. Just be warned that if you're ever cutting all the feathers off, you know, you're trying to trim this boa, you're trying to just cut it in half or something, it's going to make a big mess. The feathers go everywhere. You'll be sweeping them up for the rest of your life. So just know that. I don't know. Is that too big? Is that too wild? You can put it on the other side like that. I like this one. Yeah. All right, and I do think he needs kind of a little beak, so I might just have to give him a little something. Should the wings go up or down? Now I'm not sure. Maybe I should have looked at a picture of a bird before. Yeah, we'll put him up. Gotta find another good little piece we can use. This one's got a bunch of little glittery tinsel things in there too, which is kind of strange, but I'm just working around it. Like this piece, trying to cut it off without making a mess. Or did I lose it? Oh, there it is. So let's stick him right up here. Okay, where does he sit best? Guess like that. Yeah. You know, we could have probably bought one of those little birds that they have, those little styrofoam body birds with the feathers, and you know, they're real cute with the little tiny beady eyes. They sell them in the floral section. But look how much cuter that was. You get our own little bird. We gave him our own little feathers that we got to cut to size and just shape him the way we wanted him to be. That is super cute. I love this.